We are now live. Thank you.
All righty. Should we start? Are we going to pull up the agenda on here too? Or is it
Yes.
pulled up and I just can't see it?
It is all you, Madam Chairperson.
All righty. Let's start with the roll call.
Chanel Crouch,
Present.
Justin Houston. Please remember to unmute yourselves. Unless you would prefer that I do it for everyone to begin with. Would everybody prefer I do it to begin with?
Present.
Perfect. Jim Crew,
Present.
Mike Kruger,
Here.
Corey Quinn,
Here.
Audrey Yonkis, Audrey, can you hear us?
Oh, sorry, here. I thought I unmuted. Oh.
Ray Walsh. I know Ray is here. Ray, can you hear us? Okay, we'll circle back to Ray. And Tom Muth?
Present.
Okay, and Councilmember Gregg. Madam Chairperson, you do have quorum.
All righty. So thank you all for being here. As this is the second DMB meeting held via Zoom, we thank everyone for their patience. All members of the public will have a chance to address the board during public comment. In terms of process for this meeting, each board member will be called on individually to speak during each item. Board members are asked to please state their name before speaking, making a motion, etc. All board members may say pass if they do not have a comment for that item. And all votes will be taken by a roll call vote, meaning that our secretary, Amy, will call each board member's name and they will indicate their vote as a or no on each item. So I think we're all set there. So we'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
I have no changes to the agenda today.
All right. I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Justin Houston, motion seconded.
All
Alrighty.
right. And I will do a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Crouch,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Kroom,
Yes.
Kruger,
Yes.
Quinn,
Yes.
Yonkis,
Yes.
Walsh, Muth,
Yes.
carries it unanimously.
Perfect. And then I think the approval of minutes, is that next?
Yes, we can do the, we can click to 1.4. That's fine.
Oh no, we can do the treasurer's report. That's fine.
Okay, I'm happy to do the treasurer's report quickly.
Okay.
So before you in the packet is the April treasurer's report. As you can imagine, the month of April was quiet. We actually had no expenditures other than work orders, salaries, and benefits. I did want to point out a couple of things to the board, and I do have one additional attachment I'm going to share with you. So I highlighted some things in yellow per your attention on this first page. Nicole, if you could scroll up for just a minute, thank you. So obviously we were anticipating by the end of the fiscal year to host 2 events and to achieve revenue from them. So the first was the cocktail soiree that we generally hold, and we usually fundraise about $3,800 for that. So that was, we were assuming, with sponsorships. And then the $2,000 for charges for services was generally if we were to host like a taste and shop event. Obviously, neither event will likely happen as the governor has extended the stay-at-home order. So I think it's pretty safe to say we won't be hosting anything through the end of the fiscal year, because as a reminder, our fiscal year goes July 1 through June 30th. So what that means is, we currently have expended $55,297.62, if that makes sense to everyone. In revenue, without those 2 fundraising capabilities, we have money in to date of $57,213.15. when we pay out our final month of staff salaries and supports, the computer and the permit fee that we need, that we have to pay every year, it's the ASCAP and the BMI that we share with the other organizations, we're anticipated to spend. So again, we've spent $55,297.62. We're expected to spend another $3,829.50. What that means is, if you kind of direct your attention to the final left column, by the end of June 30th, we would expend $59,127.12. So essentially, we would either need to dip into our fund balance. So we have the fund balance of $2,060, or we could try to fundraise. Some component of that. We do have enough money in our fund balance to cover, what we need to cover the $1,913.97, but it would be staff's recommendation that we might consider like a fundraising letter. Staff actually did draft a potential fundraising letter that we might be able to send out to interested persons if we think maybe banks or credit unions or persons of that nature, maybe offering them some things, for example, during this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. So Nicole, if you don't mind bringing up that PDF for a moment. The idea would be that it would just be a simple letter. Me and McKenna actually helped to draft this, but maybe we could give them some incentives, right? So if you donate $2,500 or more, you could receive logo recognition for all of the events that we host. Knock on wood that we're going to be hopefully back in full swing by August. An informational, opportunity to place informational materials at DMB hosted tables, sponsorship recognition on, DMB press releases. We could add their logos to our tote bags that we just purchased that we obviously have not handed out the majority of yet. Logo and business recognitions the whole time on like Downtown East Lansing social media pages, maybe logo and recognition to share resources at like the cocktail soiree and things of that nature. So again, as it stands, we do have enough, but it would essentially deplete our entire fund balance. So it might be the recommendation of staff, given everything that we attempt this, right? That we send out some fundraising letters and just see if we get any takers. We had 3 different levels, a 2,500, a 1,000, a 500, and a 250. I apologize, that's 4 levels. I think the thought process would be we could see how it goes in a month, right? If we send out 50 or so letters, or if anyone has any parties they think that might be willing to assist, we could see how it goes for a month and see if we are able to do any fundraising. But I just kind of wanted to share that, put all that information in front of the board, share that for you for consideration. And I'm obviously happy to answer any questions that you have. But obviously, given the COVID pandemic, we just were not anticipating where we are, where everyone is to date. So that is staff's additional recommendation on a tactic to maybe try to fundraise so you don't have to dip into as much of your fund balance before June 30th.
So we're not fundraising for anything specific. It's just to help support the DMV in general. Correct.
Yep. Essentially to support the DMV, and by doing that, I think that the thought process is that they would get their name out there, right, in all future, events and activities that we host for the next year. And we tried to phrase the letter like, you're going to be supporting the Downtown Management Board, which represents the downtown businesses, during this time of COVID.
Well, I don't see why I wouldn't.
Justin.
Give it a try. Sorry.
Justin, we can hear you.
Sorry, Mike. Okay, sorry, Mike. I guess my thought on it would just be to make sure, I think, to Mike's point even, about, maybe putting in some information on what that money would go towards. I think people right now are spending a lot of time thinking about what they are putting their money towards and who they donate to in particular, nonprofits that are suffering, businesses that they want to support, local businesses. I think that in that piece, I think people do have a little more care right now as to how their money might be spent. And a lot of people are impacted in that way. So I would wonder whether or not it would be good to have very specific things in mind as to if you were to donate at this level with this much, this is what we can do with those dollars. I think that's going to be hard to maybe nail down, but that may be something that would help people understand what they'd be donating towards. And I do think it needs to be very clear that it does go to the businesses benefit. But at the same time, it needs to be clear how that does benefit them. Because if it would be more impactful for me just to shop local during this time and do other things, then I may do that versus marketing efforts that I can't. I think we just need to be clear as to where their money is going, and then if maybe for the business's sake, maybe the businesses would actually prefer for us to do something else, some other kind of fundraiser or promotion for them. But I don't know if that's been a discussion point that maybe we want to have a conversation on is how we want to present how the money is going to be spent and if that makes a difference.
Amy, Jim Croom.
Yep.
Is there anything in the expenditure bracket that we can not expend over the next month? Or, in other words, are you working?
Yeah.
Are you working partial weeks now so that those charges should be reduced to us? Well, how's that all?
Right. So I don't know how many people are familiar with the resolution that passed last night. There's a large percentage of city staff that are going to be taking part in a federal government program. It's a partial work program. I have not been selected to take part in that program because I administer some federal funds that helps to assist towards my salary. So I am not going on partial. I will tell you this, the interns have been working a few less hours, so we will only be billed right through the time that they are working. We, the DMB, have not expended any funds essentially since April, other than to support some of the salary. I could have a discussion with them about computer because obviously we're not using the computer. It's a nominal fee, but it's a couple $100s because we're not at City Hall. So I could certainly have that discussion with them. But right now, literally the only thing that you guys are paying for is, a percentage of staff salary and then computer and the possibility of the ASCAP fee, which I think is like $89.50 or something of that nature. So the other thing that I had considered and we had talked about before is, we had recently purchased those tote bags right before COVID hit, which I think that eventually we will hand back out. One other idea that staff had was if we wanted to kind of lure away from, even a fundraising component was to go to the DDA and say, hey, we spent $3,800 on these tote bags. We're planning to get these out and about because they're one of our largest marketing pieces. Once things get back to normal, would you DDA be interested in co-sponsoring it and, helping to pay for it? So if we ask them to pay for, $1,900 of it, that would essentially also maybe cover this hole, if that makes sense to everybody. But I just didn't know, I can certainly do that. I just didn't know if we wanted to make a bigger ask to the DDA than that. And then, what would that look like? But we could at least just try to cover that difference, if that makes sense to everybody. So.
This is Mike. Are we getting any of the expended money back from any of the stuff that's not happening?
Yeah, we have. So we did get the money back already from the Summer Solstice Jazz Festival, and that's already included in the budget that you have. So okay. Dollars back. Yep. So we had $500 that we received from the Summer Solstice Jazz Festival and $600 that came back from the Science Festival. So that has been all accounted for. If they cancel the summer concert series, which they have not yet done, but if they cancel that, that would also cover the whole. Because that was a $2,200 sponsorship. So, if we're kind of trying to think of like not the fundraising element, I would suggest maybe like tote bags and maybe something else that we ask the DDA for, but we just can't bank on them canceling it. At this point, It is scheduled to proceed. And so is everything else in July.
So this is kind of, I've been sitting here thinking about, I like the idea of fundraising, but I like what Justin said about having like a specific kind of goal or a way that we can say would spend the money. And I think, I don't know. And I don't know how all this is going to shake out like everybody else, but when we are like, if the summer concert series stays on and if life goes somewhat back to normal in the spring, is there an opportunity for us to host kind of like a welcome come visit East Lansing style event? Then we could garner a lot of sponsorship for, like, to try and think of a way to create a buzz around coming to downtown, like if that were the goal, because I think just like having something that we can get money for and something that would directly benefit the businesses that need foot traffic and need people back in and need, like, if we could throw some sort of, I hesitant
Like a
to use the
welcome
word
back
like
event.
big party, but like a big like thing to kind of usher people back into downtown East Lansing, see what's there, if anything new shows up, you know, whatever, support who's left, whatever. That would be kind of like the avenue I would go. So I would be hesitant to rush into sending that fundraising letter without kind of hashing out more of what we would want, because I don't want to waste the ask.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yep, I do. So I think we have a couple of options. We can hold tight. We could have a subcommittee meeting again via Zoom, which would be my other recommendation. You know, our fiscal year ends June 30th. So I'm just kind of making you aware that, you know, with 30 days to go, essentially, if we decide to postpone, that's okay. I just need everybody to understand that you're essentially going to deplete your entire savings account, like, which perhaps everyone is comfortable with. But I just really wanted to make the board aware of that.
So there is enough money in the fund balance savings account, as you put it, to cover this?
At this time, yes. Yes,
Well,
we're not anticipating anything else.
well, and then we have a new budget by the time we spend anything else. So I don't
Correct.
know why we would do, why wouldn't we do that? Given that fund balances are for emergency situations like we experienced with COVID. Unless there's an appetite to run out and expend time and effort raising $2,000.
I remember saying before when we were spending it, well, I don't know what else is an emergency that we would need to spend it, if not when construction was going on, and now here we are again. But I think this still does apply. So
I guess the question, this is Justin. I'm sorry, Chanel, go.
No, you're fine. Continue.
It begs the question to me, just like, who are we asking for donations from? Do we have a select targeted group? I think it could be misconceived by many. And so if it's a blast, or if it's on our website, or, you know, whoever it gets it, I mean, I think we're going to hear more negative commentary about it than we will positive. Even though, again, our intent usually is to support the downtown businesses, but it's not always perceived that way. And our efforts to even do it may not be perceived that way if we end up using the money for something else that doesn't seem to directly benefit. So I mean, I'm kind of with Jim on this, in terms of, unless we have a very targeted group of individuals that we send this to that we know would be, you know, in a position right now to donate and is looking for that kind of donation, I say we try and weather this through, you know, Mike's suggestions of just, you know, trying to rein in what we can and receive back what we can, and then use the savings for what we need to. But I do think it will be misperceived by many as to how we're going to use the funds. And I think we'd probably get a little more commentary on it than we'd like.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. And I'm on board with what Justin said. And also, not only misperceived, but we wouldn't be able to explain to them, well, why do you need this money? I thought you had a budget. Where did you go wrong? Well, you know, it was COVID, and here's these two events. And so it's just too hard to explain. And it might create more negatives than positives. So I'll make a motion to use the fund balance to cover the shortfall of the budget.
Motion seconded. This is Justin.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah. No. Alrighty, I think we're ready to vote.
All right. Chairperson Crouch.
Yes.
Vice Chair Houston.
Yes.
Member Kroom.
Yes, ma'am.
Member
Yes.
Kumar.
Yeah.
Member Quinn.
Yes.
Member Yonkis.
Yes.
Member Walsh, are you with us? Okay. And Member Muth.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we will work very hard to limit any and all spending for the next 30 days. So I will keep everyone in the situation. And I thank everybody for their feedback. I just wanted to make everybody aware of it.
Alrighty, meeting minutes. Is that where we're at, right?
Yes. So before you are the meeting minutes from the April 16th meeting. I know that the majority of the board members were there. It feels like a lot longer, but was actually just shy of a month ago that we actually met via Zoom for the first time. The two main issues that were discussed were obviously the special assessment, and at that time, recommendations to both City Council and the DDA regarding the possibility of generating or supporting grant programs. And I do have updates on those. So these are the minutes before you for consideration.
Motion to approve.
Move. Second.
Roll call, the vote?
Crouch.
Yes.
Aye. Sorry, I'm not voting. Houston.
Yes.
Kroon.
Yes.
Kruger.
Yeah.
Quinn.
Yes.
Yonkis.
Yes.
Muth.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Consideration of limiting public comment to 2 minutes per individual.
Okay, so as we recall, during our first Zoom meeting, the Downtown Management Board did pass a motion to limit any public comments to 2 minutes. This is actually something that all boards and commissions are being recommended to undertake, simply, to be as efficient as possible during discussion items. So the motion before you for consideration is to adopt a rule pursuant to MCL 15.263, limiting public comment to 2 minutes per individual.
So moved, Jim Kroom.
Second. Adriana.
Okay, all in favor, roll call?
Kroon.
Yes.
Crouch.
Yep.
Houston.
Yep.
Kruger.
Yeah.
Quinn.
Yes.
Yonkis.
Yes.
Muth. Mr. Muth might have hopped off. Okay,
Yes. Sorry, no, I'm still here and yes.
that's okay. The motion passes.
All right, public comment. Are there any? I'm so straight. Hold on.
If it helps, sorry, this is Nicole Bartel. We don't have any attendees calling in today.
So do I need to read this, Amy?
I think we're okay if we have no public comment. You can
Okay.
just open it up for public comment and then close it for public comment.
All right, we're going to close public comment since there is none. Move on to new business. Consideration of submission of MEDC match on main grant application.
Okay, all. So several of you, the majority of you had a conversation with staff about this last Friday. So as many of you are aware, on May 13th, the MEDC, or Michigan Economic Development Corporation, notified local municipalities and the general public about an expansion to its Match on Main grant program. The program does allow local economic and business districts, such as the DMB, to apply for up to $50,000 in grant funding. The funds will be awarded to eligible businesses within the determined district. So in our case, within our Downtown Management Board district, in increments of $2,000 to $10,000 per business based upon the recommendations submitted within the grant application. Last Friday on May 22nd, as I mentioned, staff did issue an email correspondence to all of the DMB business liaisons that we have. We have actually about 150 of email addresses now, and a press release on behalf of the Downtown Management Board about its intent to apply for the grant funds. All of the applications, so that Appendix 6 material document that we need, and we needed it to be filled out by the businesses, was actually due yesterday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. 12 businesses submitted their grant materials by that deadline, and an additional 3 submitted the materials after the deadline. Within your packet materials, a list of the business submissions was included. Based upon the initial review of staff, we do believe that all of the businesses do meet the set criteria by the MEDC. And so for discussion and consideration today are really 2 items. Number 1, it is staff is seeking approval for the Downtown Management Board to agree for staff to submit an application to the MEDC on the Match on Main program. We would recommend the capped amount of $50,000, but certainly if you wanted to request less funds, we are able to do that. And then number 2, the selection of the businesses that should be included with the MEDC grant. Just because I thought that you might all be interested, since we did not have 25, so it was capped at a possibility of 25 businesses at $2,000 each. Since we had less than that, submit materials to us by the deadline. If you wanted to, for example, approve 12 businesses, then that could be a potential of $4,166 per business. If you wanted to have the 15 businesses proceed as part of the grant application, that would be a total of $3,333 per business. I did include a link within the packet materials to the grant itself. It is quite lengthy, so I'm sure all of you have read it chapter and verse, but now is kind of the opportunity to kind of discuss the grant application itself in more detail, and then to determine how you would like to proceed with the grant application. So on the next attached document is the detailed list of all of the businesses that submitted their information. You will see that the 3 that submitted were very shortly after the deadline. So everyone did submit before 11 o'clock. Again, the deadline was at 10 o'clock, but it is the purview of the board to determine what they should do with those applicants. I did personally email everyone once we received all their grant applications, so everyone knows that these are being reviewed or that we received their materials. And for the 3 that submitted after the deadline, I made them aware that they had submitted after the deadline, but that the board would be considering their materials, even though they had been received afterwards. So I made no commitments, obviously, on behalf of the board about what we would do with those late submissions. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have a question. This is Mike. Was that 10 a.m. deadline set by East Lansing or by the MEDC? It
was set by staff.
Oh, okay.
It was just set by staff so that we would have time to review materials and get you back a packet so that we can meet on Wednesday. So it was not set by the MEDC.
I'll make a motion to approve the 15 businesses to receive the $3,333 apiece for this grant.
Second,
I need
Jim Kroom.
to recuse myself from this when I do that.
Make a motion to, do we lose quorum if we recuse Audrey and Ray?
You do not lose quorum because they are present.
They just cannot, but we
They
don't have a quorum to vote.
Correct. They will not correct. So if someone could make a motion to recuse both Ray and Audrey, I think that would be appropriate as they are seeking the grant funds. And then if there could be a second to that.
I'll make that motion. This is Mike.
Kroom supports.
Okay. Crouch,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Kroom,
Yes.
Quinn.
Yes.
The motion passes. Okay. So now on to the original motion, considering the application to the MEDC. So I just want to make clear that these businesses would be applying alongside the Downtown Management Board for the funds in the total amount of $3,333.
Yep.
So Madam Chair, would you like me to call the vote?
Sorry, it's like, I can't hear you guys.
Sorry.
It's cutting in and out. Sorry, can you repeat what you said? I think I can
Sure.
hear now.
I just wondered if you wanted me to call the vote or if you wanted to call for further discussion. regarding, there's a current motion on the board, from the board to consider approval of the 15 businesses, all 15 of them, that would co-apply with the board and the total amount of $3,333. So there's a motion and a second. Now would be the time for discussion. Okay, I think
Can you hear
Chanel's
me now?
Yep.
I don't know. It keeps.
I'm not sure if it would be helpful for her to call in.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Vice Chair Houston, can you hear me?
Yes.
Could you temporarily take over the meeting for a minute and maybe lead discussion on this item while I reach out to the chair?
Yeah, and we just need to have the conversation on it. So
Yeah, a discussion if anybody would like to add anything, yes.
Yep. Any discussion?
Nothing here.
I believe we need at least 5
Okay,
votes though. So if Chanel's not
I
available.
believe so.
I
Chanel's
think I'm back.
just come back, but
Okay.
there we
Can you
go.
hear me?
She's unfrozen. Yes, we can hear you, Chanel.
Can I try and call in?
Yes.
I don't know what's happening.
Yes.
Sound good now?
I don't know if we want to hold off for the vote until she calls in or.
I'm
if-
saying yes,
we-
but
Okay,
I don't know
I'll
if you
do-
can hear me.
Okay, so I'll just do the roll call vote. So she was a yes. Houston,
Yes.
Kroom,
Yes.
Kruger,
Yes.
Quinn.
Yes.
And Mr. Muth, I don't believe you're still on, correct? He is not. Okay, the motion passes 5-0. All right. So staff I will work very hard over the course of the next 2 days to submit a strong application on behalf of the DMB with those 15 noted businesses. And we will continue to keep you updated. All right. So I believe the next item on the agenda is discussion regarding the special assessment. So here is my good news for the Downtown Management Board. The City Council did host its second and final public hearing regarding the renewal, or in our case, they call it Special Assessment Rule number 75. And in this case, it was approved last night. So I am pleased to share with you that you do have your $44,407 in annual funding. So that will be part of the summer taxes. Again, we had a lot of discussion at the last meeting about whether we would pursue that or not. The board determined it would pursue it. As you know, we felt like we might be able to make a stronger impact on behalf of the whole district by collecting those funds. So it is a 1-year special assessment. It will take effect July 1 and be in effect through June 30th. All of the special assessment rates remain the same. In terms of public notification, 2 public notices were placed in the Lansing State Journal, and business owners, so property owners, received 2 notices via the mail. But it did pass unanimously last night. So I am pleased to share that we are fully funded for another year. And I know that this board has had a lot of discussion about, potentially, well, I think that we're going to have a lot of big picture discussions as we all kind of respond to COVID and maybe thinking big picture, and perhaps, there's lots of opportunities for the next assessment to be a longer time period and things of that nature. So I am pleased to share with you that you have all been fully supported by council. And so we will spend another year together on all of our endeavors. So that's the good news. So that happened last night. And then finally, you do have just your written communication. So as you recall, at the end of the last meeting, the DMB had requested that the DDA consider the creation of a business grant program. I know that we have both of our DDA liaisons on, so I can let them speak to that further. But long story short, they did obviously unveil a grant program to businesses within the entire DDA district. So the good news is that all DMB businesses would be eligible because they are within the DDA district as well. And so that has been launched. And I know that the first round of funding has ended and has gone out, and that they are going to be launching the second round of funding. So I don't know, DDA members, if you'd like to add anything else to that, but I am pleased to share that that has been taken into strong consideration. So.
Nothing to add here.
Okay.
Nope, that's about right.
And I think everyone has probably paid pretty close attention to what's been happening probably at a city council level, but several of the business annual fees and renewals and permits have been waived by city council. So that is hopefully something that will provide additional financial benefit to everyone within our Downtown Management Board district, because we certainly recognize that these are unprecedented times. And so we will just continue to move forward. So those are all the items that I had on the agenda for now.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think we're all set. So I'll motion to adjourn.
Okay. All right.
So moved.
Second, this is Justin.
Okay. Crouch,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Kroon,
Yep.
Kruger,
Yes.
Yes.
Yonkis. Oh, do you think you're muted? Yep. Okay. All right. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you all for joining on perhaps the world's fastest downtown management board meeting.
Very efficient.
Perhaps we might be meeting again in person in June. I just can't speak to that. I will keep you surprised. Maybe we'll meet via Zoom. Maybe we'll be in person. I just don't know. But everybody stay safe. So
Already. Bye, guys.
thank you all.
Stay safe, everyone.